In the headlines, first, Australian authorities are probing whether the father and son accused in the Bondi Beach massacre had links to extremist networks during a recent trip to the Philippines. In Hong Kong, media tycoon Jimmy Lai has been convicted on national security and sedition charges after a 2-year trial, facing a possible life sentence. A warning, Hungary accuses the EU of ignoring its own rules on Ukraine, warning that recent Brussels decisions could spark a wider continental conflict. A landmark lawsuit. San Francisco City files a lawsuit against major ultra-processed food makers, blaming their products for a public health crisis. In the Philippines, a Pasig City Court sentenced a woman to 8 years for illegally recruiting Filipinos, falsely claiming to be a hotel HR officer in Singapore. Gold victory. Elrin Ando won gold for the Philippines in the women's 63 kilograms weightlifting division at the 33rd Southeast Asian Games in Thailand. I'm Almar Forzuelo. Newsline World starts now. Australian authorities are examining whether a recent trip to the Philippines by the father and son accused of carrying out the Bondi Beach massacre had any connection to extremist networks as the country reels from one of its deadliest terror attacks. This report. Australian investigators say Bondi Beach shooting suspects Sajid Akram and his son Naveed Akram traveled from Australia to the Philippines in November. Weeks before the attack, the two reportedly traveled alone and stayed in the country for several weeks. Officials have not disclosed where they went or who they may have met during the trip. Counter-terrorism agencies, including Australian Security Intelligence Organisation or ASIO, NSW Police and the Australian Federal Police are now assessing whether the travel exposed the pair to extremist influences. Authorities are looking into possible links to Islamic State-aligned groups operating in parts of Southeast Asia, though no direct connection has been confirmed. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said Naveed Akram first came to ASIO's attention in 2019 due to his associations. At the time, investigators assessed there was no indication he posed an ongoing threat or intended to engage in violence. Police say the suspects were staying in a short term in rental Camp C before driving to Bondi Beach on Sunday evening, where members of the Jewish community had gathered to mark the start of the Hanaku. 15 people were killed and dozens injured in the shooting. The Philippine Consulate in Sydney has confirmed that no Filipino nationals were among the fatalities or injured in the attack and urged the local Filipino community to follow safety guidance issued by NSW Police. Officers recovered multiple firearms at the scene and seized additional weapons from a property in Sydney's southwest. 2 improvised explosive devices were also found, and investigators are still determining how they were made and where the suspects learned to construct them. Authorities say it remains unclear whether the attackers were self-radicalized or influenced by extremist groups. As investigators work to piece together their movements and motivations, the attack has sparked national mourning and renewed scrutiny of counter-terrorism measures, with officials vowing to leave no avenue unexplored as Australia seeks answers after the Bondi Beach tragedy. For God and my beloved Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, Almar Forzuelo, SMNI News. Hong Kong media tycoon and a pro-democracy figure Jimmy Lai has been convicted on national security and sedition charges after a 2-year trial, leaving him facing a possible life sentence. This story from Angel Pastor.
78-year-old billionaire and media tycoon Jimmy Lai was found guilty on 2 counts of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces to endanger national security and 1 count of conspiracy to publish seditious materials. The ruling came as Lai was escorted to and from the West Kowloon Court under tight security, with dozens of supporters gathering outside holding apples, a symbol associated with his now defunct newspaper, Apple Daily.
Although Lai sought his testimony to transfer his accountability to the subordinates and to invoke the concept of the press freedom as a justification, But the totality of the evidence demonstrated that he himself repeatedly admitted that he was the boss.
Police said the court determined Lai had deliberately used Apple Daily as a political tool to undermine both the Hong Kong and central governments with the intent to destabilize the Chinese Communist Party. Authorities also accused Lai's family of spreading false information about his health while he remains in custody. Police rejected claims that the case undermines press freedom, insisting the trial focused solely on national security concerns. Hong Kong's national security law was introduced in 2020 following mass pro-democracy protests across the city. The court has scheduled a mitigation hearing for January 12, 2026, when Lai's defense team is expected to argue for a reduced sentence. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
Jordan's King Abdullah II met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Amman to discuss expanding bilateral cooperation across economic, technological, and cultural sectors as the two countries mark 75 years of diplomatic relations. Paul Montibon tells us more.
King Abdullah received India Prime Minister Modi at Al Husseiniya Palace on Monday, greeting him with a handshake and posing for official photographs. The two leaders later held talks with senior officials from both sides, focusing on trade, investment, and sector-to-sector cooperation.
Because our countries will mark 75 years of diplomatic relations. And I believe that this visit reflects decades of friendship, mutual respect, and a productive cooperation between our two nations. Your visit today provides an important opportunity to chart new paths of economic cooperation across industry, ICT, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, energy, and many more promising fields of mutual benefits for our people.
The Jordanian monarch also welcomed the signing of agreements and memoranda of understanding expected during the visit, and highlighted the Jordan-India Business Forum as a platform to expand trade and encourage joint investments.
इस वर्ष हम अपने राजनयिक संबंधों की 75वीं एनिवर्सरी मना रहे हैं। यह मील का पत्थर हमें आने वाले कई वर्षों तक नई ऊर्जा के साथ आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करता रहेगा। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आज की बैठक से हमारे संबंधों में गति और गहराई।
Modi said cooperation would continue to grow in areas including trade, fertilizers, digital technology, infrastructure, and people-to-people exchanges. Jordanian media report that agreements will cover renewable energy, water resource management, digital transformation, a cultural exchange program, and a twinning pact between Petra and India's Ellora caves. The visit comes as Amman and New Delhi look to build on decades of diplomatic ties and open new avenues for cooperation across key growth sectors. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montibon, SMNI News.
Up next, Hungary accuses the EU of ignoring its own rules on Ukraine, warning that recent Brussels decisions could spark a wider continental conflict. And in the Philippines, a Pasig City court sentenced a woman to 8 years for illegally recruiting Filipinos, falsely claiming to be a hotel HR officer in Singapore. More news when Newsline World returns.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon, kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado, 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/3 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon ayon sa schedule ng pasyente. Ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang maka-jackpot. Mukhang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito, unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino. Lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer ang mukha ng app. Mas madaling makaengganyo, diba? Parang safe naman kasi may kilalang mukha. Pero sa likod ng ngiti, sugal pa rin ang itinutulak. At syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan, walang kaharap, walang accountability, kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa. Ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak ng pamilya, pagkawala ng tiwala sa sarili. At tulad ng ibang bisyo, may mga senyales ito tulad ng hindi makapagpigil kahit walang pera, palihim na tumataya, pagpapabaya sa trabaho, pamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito. Pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan. Hindi ito naging prioridad ng mga nakaupo sa taas hanggang sa sobrang lumala at halos naapektuhan na ang buong komunidad. Ngayon, sa dami ng nalulung at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, sa kapalalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling, gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan. Ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na uubos sa sugal. At sa mundo ng online gambling, mas madali kang matalo kaysa manalo. Huwag hayaang sugal ang magdikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Hungary has accused the European Union of abandoning its own rules over Ukraine, warning that recent decisions in Brussels risk dragging the entire continent into a wider conflict. Valdivina Gracia tells us more.
Hungary criticized European Union policy over Ukraine, accusing Brussels of breaking its own rules and risking escalation that could draw Europe into war. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó delivered a warning after discussions in Ukraine in Brussels, accusing EU leaders of what he described as war fanaticism. Szijjártó said Brussels was prepared to break existing EU rules in order to deepen military involvement with Ukraine, including proposals to build arms factories inside the country. He criticized plans for EU military training missions in Ukrainian territory, warning they would create serious escalation risks for Hungary, which borders Ukraine. The Hungarian minister also questioned financial and military aid proposals for Kiev, accusing the EU of trying to bypass unanimity rules to fund support packages. Szijjártó claims tens of trillions of forints were being earmarked to arm a non-NATO country bordering Hungary and accused Ukraine of widespread corruption and the existence of what he called a war mafia. He argued that bypassing unanimity undermines the EU's credibility and democracy and the rule of law, and reiterated Hungary's opposition to seizing frozen Russian state assets. The remarks come amid renewed diplomatic activity in Ukraine following U.S.-Ukraine talks in Berlin and high-level meetings between European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNI News.
The Senate suspended the bicameral conference committee meeting to resolve the Department of Public Works and Highways request for an additional 45 billion pesos. This was confirmed by Senate Committee on Finance Chairman Senator Sherwin Gatchalian during a press briefing at the Senate following a caucus among senators. He said the senators agreed to suspend the budget deliberations to address the funds earlier cut from the agency due to issues surrounding the allegedly overpriced cost of construction materials. Related to this, he added that the bicameral conference committee is targeted to be completed by Wednesday in the time for its ratification by both houses of Congress on December 22, 2025. Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega condemned the United States for imposing sanctions and what he called the military encirclement of Latin America. This report from Jean Domingo.
Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega has strongly criticized the United States and its allies, condemning sanctions, military pressure, and Western involvement in global conflicts. During a virtual meeting of leaders from the ALBA TCP regional bloc, President Ortega said sanctions imposed by powerful nations are designed to intimidate populations, describing them as bites intended to terrorize ordinary people.
Ellos quieren paralizar a los pueblos con amenaza, con ladridos, con mordidas. Las sanciones son mordidas. Morder a los pueblos para aterrorizarlos.
He added that despite sanctions and international pressure, the ALBA alliance continues to survive and advance. He accused the United States of militarily encircling the region, claiming Venezuela has been targeted under accusations of drug trafficking in order to seize its oil resources. Ortega described the seizure of a Venezuelan oil tanker as an act of theft.
Y luego se nombró ellos están en su proyecto cercando militarmente a la región, tomando como punto de partida la República Bolivariana de Venezuela, con el cuento del narcotráfico. Y han descubierto, ya se decía que lo que quieren es el petróleo del pueblo venezolano. ¿Y qué es lo que han hecho? Robarse un barco petrolero. Un robo. Son ladrones. ladrones de etiqueta, sí. Siente él.
The Nicaraguan leader said these actions amount to aggressions against all CELAC member states and warned that governments aligned with Washington should not assume they will be treated as allies.
Condenar, lógicamente, esas agresiones, que son agresiones que están apuntando a todos los países de la CELAC. Y habrán algunos gobiernos que piensan que porque son amigos, entre comillas, del gobierno de los Estados Unidos, les va a ir bien. Los gobernantes norteamericanos, el imperio norteamericano, los imperialismos de la tierra, los imperialistas de la tierra, no tienen amigos.
Ortega also criticized U.S. involvement in Central America, referring to Honduras and alleging interference in presidential elections. He said the United States disrespects Central American nations and seeks to impose its will, particularly in response to migration.
Eso que hicieron en Honduras, de decir quién tenía que ser el presidente. Pobre presidente, porque no sabemos cómo le irá a ir. No vemos ahí a los Estados Unidos que aborrece al pueblo hondureño, aborrece a los pueblos centroamericanos, los odia por la migración. No vemos ahí. Van a buscar cómo imponerse, y si el presidente que resulte finalmente electo ahí no acata, entonces ya no será amigo.
Turning to Europe, Ortega accused the European Union of promoting war, claiming it has intervened in support of Ukraine against Russia. He described the conflict as a struggle by Russia against what he called Nazi forces, alleging discrimination and violence against Russian-speaking populations.
Vemos a la Unión Europea tocando tambores de guerra para meterse, como ya se ha metido, en favor de los nazis de Ucrania, en contra de la República de la Federación Rusa. Esa es una guerra, una lucha.
Ortega concluded by warning that the United States is threatening countries, including Mexico and Colombia, with military action. He said such actions will provoke resistance and insisted that global peace must ultimately prevail.
Hay un rechazo a todas las medidas que viene tomando el gobierno de los Estados Unidos y vive amenazando a México, amenazando a Colombia, amenazando ya con ir contra Colombia, ir contra México, meter sus tropas. Lo dice tranquilamente.
President Ortega's remarks came amid heightened geopolitical tensions and ongoing divisions over sanctions, military alliances, and regional sovereignty. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Jean Domingo, SMNI News.
When we return, San Francisco City files a landmark lawsuit against major ultra-processed food makers, blaming their products for a public health crisis. More news after the break.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo namalayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakakadepress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman diyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala, sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumulong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Sa panahon ng tag-ulan, hindi lang baha at ulan ang dapat bantayan, kundi pati na rin mga sakit na pwedeng makahawa. At dahil ngayon ay rainy season, nagbabala ang Department of Health laban sa tinatawag na wild diseases. 4 na klase ng sakit na karaniwang nakukuha ng tao tuwing maulan. Ito ang W o waterborne diseases, gaya ng pagdudumi o gastroenteritis. I o influenza-like illnesses, gaya ng sipon, ubo at lagnat. L o leptospirosis na maaaring makuha mula sa ihi ng mga daga sa baha. At D o dengue na dala ng mga lamok. Kapag baha, mas mabilis kumalat ang mikrobyo. Kaya't ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at agad maligo matapos lumusong sa baha. Ano ang dapat gawin para maiwasan ang wild diseases? Tumutok sa weather updates. Magsuot ng kapote at bota. Siguraduhing malinis ang iniinom na tubig. Agad kumonsulta sa health center kung may nararamdamang sintomas. Mainam din gawin ang 40 o ang taob, taktak, tuyo at takip para maiwasan ang dengue sa bahay at komunidad. Maglinis, magmasid, mag-ingat. Labanan ang wild diseases ngayong tag-ulan. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Kanang inyong mga cellphone, pagbantay mo sa inyong mga isultihan na mo sa una. Pornography is a spiritual adultery. Kanang pornography, labaw pa na sa shabu. Maddaot imong uto ka na, labi na kung ikaw niya ka sa kingdom ministry, pahingon taglangit, mo na imong kalaban. Because it will destroy everything that was implanted to you spiritually that will let you go to heaven. Pornography is the number one missile of the enemy that will destroy you and your soul to hell. Ayaw jud mo pagtanaw pornography, babaeng lalaki sa inyo. What is dangerous now with cell phones? You can go into the privacy of your room and look at your cell phone without anyone. Only God knows what are you looking at. And mostly, people go to the dark side of the door going to destruction to hell. And that is pornography. It destroys the mind. It destroys the soul. It destroys your spirit.
Trump declared drug cartels foreign terrorist organizations and signed an executive order classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, warning that cartels pose a grave threat to the United States. This report from Joy Tabanao.
President Donald Trump has taken a hardline stance on the U.S.-Mexico border and the opioid crisis, calling cartels and drug traffickers a direct threat to the United States and announcing new measures to combat fentanyl. In a lengthy statement, Trump said that prior administrations surrendered the southern border to criminals, drug cartels, human traffickers, and child smugglers. He claimed that the Mexican side of the southwest border was under cartel control and described them as some of the most violent criminals groups on the planet.
In the 4 years before I took office, our southern border was surrendered to criminals, drug cartels, human traffickers, and child smugglers. Our entire southwest border on the Mexican side is under the physical control of cartels that are among the most violent entities.
Trump highlighted what he described as historic operations along the border, including nearly 13,000 patrols and cooperation between the military and customs and border protection. He said illegal crossing have dropped to the lowest level ever recorded and claimed a 50% reduction in fentanyl shipments.
Our armed forces have already conducted nearly 13,000 patrols along the border, and today we give these great warriors the recognition that they have earned, and they have really earned it. The military component of our border security efforts is just the beginning. We're also designating the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, a big deal from a legal standpoint and military standpoint. We've ended catch and release, and we endured and ensured that anyone who sets foot across our border illegally is intercepted, arrested, and immediately deported. Or if they're really bad, they're put into prison because we don't want to ever take a chance if they come back.
As part of his new measures, Trump announced the designation of drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and outlined an executive order formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. According to Trump, fentanyl trafficking has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans in recent years.
I believe they killed over the last 5 or 6 years per year 200 to 300,000 people. They've destroyed a lot of families. Because when they lose a child, or even if their child is heavily addicted, you lose that family. The family will never be the same. That's why today I'm taking one more step to protect Americans from the scourge of deadly fentanyl flooding into our country. With this historic executive order I will sign today.
Trump also indicated the administration is considering reclassifying marijuana to facilitate medical research. The president emphasized that his border and drug enforcement initiatives are part of a broader effort to strengthen national security and protect American families from the deadly impact of drug trafficking. Joy Tipanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
A light aircraft slammed into a warehouse near Toluca, Mexico, leaving 6 dead and 4 others injured. At least 7 people are reported dead and 4 others injured after a light aircraft crashed into a warehouse in central Mexico. The accident happened between the cities of Toluca and San Mateo Atenco in Mexico State. This video from the scene shows emergency crews rushing to the crash site where an executive aircraft traveling from Acapulco to Toluca International Airport went down and struck an industrial facility. Civil protection officials say the aircraft involved was a Cessna Citation 3 executive jet carrying 8 passengers and 2 crew members. Preliminary reports indicate the plane was about 5.7 kilometers from Toluca International Airport when it crashed. Firefighters from Toluca, Metepec, and San Mateo Atenco were deployed along with state emergency services, teams from the Mexican Red Cross, the State of Mexico Security Secretariat, and Civil Protection also responded. Authorities have launched an investigation to determine the cause of the crash. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka has been named for the Women's Tennis Association Player of the Year for a second straight season following a dominant 25 campaign. Meanwhile, Elrene Ando stepped up for the Philippine weightlifting, claiming a gold medal in the women's 63-kilogram division at the 33rd Southeast Asian Games in Chonburi, Thailand. More on this from Carlo de la Peña.
Aryna Sabalenka, the 27-year-old Belarusian, won 4 titles this season, the most on tour, highlighted by a successful defense of her US Open crown against Amanda Anisimova in September for her 4th Grand Slam singles title. Sabalenka reached a tour best 9 finals in 2025 and finished runner-up at the Australian Open and French Open. She also claimed titles at the Brisbane International, Miami Open, and Madrid Open. She held the world number 1 ranking all season, finished year-end number 1 for the 2nd straight year, and became the first player since Serena Williams in 2015 to surpass 12,000 WTA ranking points. Sabalenka ended the year with a 62-12 record and earned a record £11 million in prize money, receiving nearly 80% of media votes. Meanwhile, Switzerland Belinda Bencic was named Comeback Player of the Year. Victoria Mboko earned Newcomer of the Year honors. Siniakova and Taylor Townsend were voted Double Teams of the Year, and Anisimova was named Most Improved Player of the Year. Meanwhile, with Olympic champion Heidelin Diaz falling short of the podium, Ando carried the burden of the country's gold medal hopes and delivered in dominant fashion. Less than 2 months after winning bronze at the World Championships in Norway, Ando overpowered her rivals by lifting 102 kilograms in the snatch and 127 kilograms in the clean and jerk. She won by a margin of at least 10 kilograms. Vietnam's Thuy Thanh Tien Nguyen and Thailand's Thanaon Saitia settled for silver and bronze, respectively. The victory made Ando a 2-time SEA Games champion after also winning gold in the 59-kilogram class in Cambodia 2 years ago. Diaz, who finished 4th in her event, watched from the sidelines and cheered Ando on. She later joined her compatriot during the victory ceremony in her role as a member of the IWF Executive Board. The Philippines also earned a silver medal through 19-year-old Albert Ian de los Santos in the men's 71-kilogram division. De los Santos set a new world junior record with a 186-kilogram clean and jerk and totaled 324 kilograms. Diaz praised De Los Santos as the future of Philippine weightlifting. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
A celebration of identity, creativity, and empowerment took center stage in Nigeria's capital as the annual Afro Hair Summit opened its doors to artists, stylists, and beauty advocates from across the continent. Abuja came alive with color, culture, and confidence as the two-day annual Afro Hair Summit opened on Saturday, celebrating the rich heritage, artistry, and innovation behind African hairstyles. The summit offered a vibrant showcase of distinctive African hair traditions, with models gracing the runway in bold, creative styles adorned with striking accessories. The dazzling display highlighted not only fashion and beauty, but also the deep cultural identity woven into African hair. Founder of the Africa Hair Summit described the event as a celebration of empowerment and pride. The summit continues to honor knowledge, art, and innovation with experiences designed to inspire creatives, elevate skills, and affirm the dignity and beauty of African hair. Participants and models shared the same sense of pride, seeing the event as a platform to spotlight Africa's elegance and creative expression, expressing gratefulness that Africa has been blessed with natural beauty from its origins, adding that the Afro remains at the heart of that identity. Held on November 12 and 13, the Afro Hair Summit featured runways shows, hair competitions, and business and beauty panel discussions, bringing together stylists, creatives, and enthusiasts in a positive celebration of African heritage, talent, and self-expression. Venezuelan beauty queen Ana Blanco has been crowned Miss Charm 2025 in a stunning ceremony held earlier this week, where she impressed judges and audiences with her advocacy for education, women's empowerment, and cultural diplomacy. Meanwhile, after a successful world tour, Casey Tandingan and TJ Monterde rewarded their hardworking concert tour staff with 100,000 pesos each as a gesture of gratitude for their tireless support. Blake Ann will give us the updates.
In a dazzling night of beauty, grace, and talent, Venezuela's Ana Blanco has been crowned Miss Charm 2025, taking home the prestigious title in a stunning ceremony held earlier this week. Blanco wowed the judges and the audience alike with her poise, intelligence, and powerful message of empowerment. The competition, which featured contestants from across the globe, saw Blanco stand out not just for her beauty, but for her strong advocacy in education, women's empowerment, and cultural diplomacy. As Miss Charm 2025, Ana Blanco will travel the world as an ambassador for the pageant's advocacy programs. In a heartwarming show of appreciation, Casey Tandingan and TJ Monterde have rewarded their concert tour staff with a generous gift after completing their successful world tour. The couple, known for their powerful voices and chart-topping hits, decided to give back to the people who helped make their world tour a success. Each member of their concert tour staff received 100,000 pesos as a token of gratitude. The couple's decision to share the success of their world tour comes after months of performances across different countries. Their staff, who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, were involved in everything, from sound engineering to logistics and production. Casey and TJ's world tour has been met with overwhelming support from fans around the globe. Known for their chemistry both on and off the stage, the couple's music continues to inspire fans with their heartfelt songs and relatable messages. A well-deserved thank you from Casey Tandingan and TJ Monterde to their hardworking team, proving that success is always sweeter when shared. And that's all for now. I'm Blake Ann, bringing you the latest showbiz.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Guard your mind, soul, and heart that they will remain upright in the sight of God. And for our Christmas countdown, 9 days to go before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Almar Forzuelo. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.